Hi everyone, welcome back to our tutorial. Um, we will continue what we started um, learning together, and today's another very interesting topic is on operating systems. We will go through basics of operating systems. We will try to understand the main functions, the goals, types, and um, main components of the computer systems. So without losing time, let's get it started. So what's on our agenda today? We will number one, we will give a definition of operating system, the importance of operating system in computer systems, um, the goals of an operating system, uh, which includes resource management, user convenience, and system performance. And we will also study the main four components of a computer system, which explains hardware, operating system, application programs, and users. And finally, we will conclude our tutorial. So, what is operating system? By going through many sources, for me, very interesting, very useful, very simple definition was it's an operating system is a collection of software that manages computer hardware resources and provides common services for computer programs. So basically, if you imagine a computer hardware like a processor, monitor, keyboard, the mouse, the speakers, they don't operate without the help of operating system. The operating system is um, like a resource management center. It will manage, it will control, it will allocate resources, and it will make sure that all the functions are properly executing their own tasks. And it's the most important software that runs on a computer. As I said, it manages computer's memory, processes all of the software and hardware. The operating system allows to communicate with computer without knowing how to speak the computer's language. Besides, it's also an intermediate between a user of a computer and a computer hardware. It's fundamentally responsible to allocate resources to programs, and it is currently available. The operating system, one form or another, it's currently available in all devices, in our cars, in our alarm clocks, vending machines, cloud computing, you just name it. It's existing, it exists in all devices at the moment. Without operating system, all these hardwares that we use day to day do not function as we are used to them. Just I would like to quickly provide the background of the operating system. So the first um, digital computers, I'm talking about 1950s, after the World War II, had no any operating system. They used to execute one task at a time with the help of human operator. The first um operating system was developed in 1950s. Initially, they were small supervisor programs to provide basic input and output operations and kept accounts of CPU usage for billing purposes. More powerful operating systems were introduced in 1960s with a new concept called time sharing, which allowed multiple users sharing the central processing unit or CPU, time and terminals. The two early time sharing systems were compatible time sharing system or CTSS, which was developed by MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and the second one was Dartmouth College Basic System, or DCBS, by Dartmouth College. The other operating systems include Atlas, developed by University of Manchester, OS 360 by IBM, and Multics System for 645 computer by General Electric. These were the forefathers of operating system um, before modern OS systems developed, like what we know today, Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. So we move to the next one. As I was talking about Windows, Mac OS, and Linux, um, now we can learn a little bit about types of operating systems. So operating systems usually come preloaded on any computer that we buy. Users have a choice to either use the default operating system on their personal computers, or it's also possible to upgrade or even change the existing operating system. Currently, the three most common operating systems are, I think we all know, Microsoft Windows, Apple's Mac OS, and of course Linux. A little history about all these three operating systems. Windows was created in the mid 1980s. It had many different versions over the years. Windows 10, um, which is one of the most recent versions of it, which was introduced in 2015. Currently, I am using Windows 10 Home version. Windows 8, which was introduced 2012. Windows 7, most of us used Windows 7 when we were students. I personally started using Windows XP. I believe that was sometime in 2000, early 2000s, which I started getting to know Windows operating system. And Windows is the most popular operating system. It dominates the market with 73.9% desktop market share. The next one is, of course, another popular operating system, which is Mac OS. Previously was famous as OS X. It was created by Apple, and it comes preloaded on all Macintosh computers or Macs. Some of the versions include Mojave, High Sierra, Sierra 2016, and I believe most of us are familiar with Yosemite, which was released a while ago, and it is in all Mac computers. Mac OS is currently the second most popular operating system with 14.91% market share. And finally, uh, what we have been learning in our earlier tutorials, uh, third most common or most popular operating system is Linux, which is, as we know, open source, free, and it can be modified by anyone in the world. It has many versions, as we studied earlier, or distributions such as Ubuntu, Rocky Linux, Debian, Fedora, and etc. Linux currently holds 3.77% of the desktop market share. And on our picture, as we can see, it's an Android. I did not include any information about Android because I wanted to specifically talk about the desktop market for the operating systems. Android is mostly on Android phones or Android tablets. Okay, I hope I'm not too quick, so we can slowly move to the next slide. So, what are the primary goals of an operating system? Operating system does a lot of tasks, but the primary goals of the system include execute user programs and make solving user problems easier, make the computer system convenient to use, um, optimize utilization of the hardware, support processing of complex games and business applications on the computer system, and make the computer, most importantly, make the computer interface user friendly. Besides these goals or tasks, it also provides memory management to ensure um, primary memory and mechanisms to optimize the memory usage. Security, which is another important aspect of the operating system. Um, it ensures secure environment for the user applications um, and mechanisms such as access controls and encryption. Networking, we shouldn't forget about networking, such as establishing and managing network connections, handling network protocols, and sharing resources such as printers and files over the network. We talked about interface, user-friendly, and it also detects any errors in the computer system and alerts users to fix the errors that might affect the system performance. Um, so we can move to the next one. The four components of a computer system. There are many components of a computer system, but if we just uh, if we just split the main, if you just categorize the main um, components, that includes hardware, as we know, as we mentioned earlier, the, the, the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, the processor, the speakers, or any other um, additional devices that can be useful for us. Um, and then we shouldn't forget the power supply. We also have operating system, which controls and coordinates the use of the hardware, which we have been talking since the start of the tutorial. The other application programs, the other one is application programs such as word processors, compilers, web browsers, whatever is within the computer system that users mostly use. And then the users, the people, the machines, or other computers are considered main components of a computer. Well, um, under each component there are different functions, there are different components, um, and they have their own functions that help us to use the computer system as easily as we got used to use. And this description is also on the picture that we included. Um, I believe most of you are familiar with, let's say, what is in each. Probably uh, you have seen these components on everyday use of your personal laptop or the personal computer, the workplace, and you are familiar with most of them. I would like to just go a little deeper in these components um, before we end this tutorial. So uh, one of the main components of the computer system is a motherboard, um, which which is a primary circuit board that holds all the hardware in place. Every personal computer um, has motherboards, and um, it's the main part of each computer system. Um, the other one is of course CPU, which is central processing unit. Um, it's commonly referred as a processor. It's the brain of every computer. Um, it solves all the sophisticated algorithms and programming of our computer, operates while it's running. Um, CPUs are, I assume everybody knows the company Intel. It's produced by Intel, or we also have AMD, or we have another company called ARM that produce CPUs. Um, and year by year, we are getting more advanced CPUs, which are accelerating the processes of the personal computers. The other one is a graphical processing unit, which is GPU. Um, it is the computer hardware responsible for graphical operations and advanced imagery. Um, it is required for every computer to read and reproduce graphical representations and effects, which are almost present in all forms of media today. Random access memory, or RAM, it is it's a form of memory which keeps important currently used data and codes on standby, and it helps us to load them instantly when respective programs or applications are open. As everybody knows, the higher the RAM, the better the use of better process of the computer. Currently, I believe mine is 8 GB. We also even have 16 GB. So depending on the preference of the user and the use of the laptops or computer, we can upgrade the RAM. The other one is a storage device. There are two types of internal storage devices. The first one is hard disk drive, or HDDs, and solid state drives, which are SSDs. SSDs are more recent uh, type of storage devices, and they're much more faster, much more efficient, and also a little more expensive than HDDs. Well, these were basically the main components of a computer system. Um, I hope with this tutorial I managed to give basic information about operating system, its objectives, um, the main functions, the types of operating system, and just quick definition of it. We will continue our tutorial with other new topics, with other interesting discussions in our next videos, tutorials. But until then, stay safe and keep learning. Thank you.